Hello. So the Lord confirmed to me about 3 weeks ago to start to share a series called "The Spirit of the Fear of the Lord" or "The Fear of the Lord." And maybe back in maybe July of 2023, the Lord just pressed upon me the spirit of the fear of the Lord, the spirit of the fear of the Lord, the spirit of the fear of the Lord. And that is what the church is missing in this hour. So in this series, I believe what the Lord is going to have me to do is just to kind of share my experience with the scripture and how the fear of the Lord came upon me and why it is important and why we should fear the Lord above anything. We should fear the Lord before we sin. We should fear the Lord when we even think about sinning. We should fear the Lord before we come in his house to do things that are not pleasing unto him. So we should fear the Lord. This should stop us from sinning. This should keep us from sinning. We shouldn't fear man, but we should fear the Lord. And in this hour, it seems that more people are afraid of what man thinks or what man will think of them opposed to what the Lord feels or what the Lord thinks of them. And again, the Lord sees all, he knows all. So our fear should be of the Lord. He's the one that's going to judge us at the end of the day. So it's not about man. Like, to fear man is foolishness. The Bible tells us, why should we fear mere man? Like, the Lord can destroy both our soul and our body. We should fear him. So I just want to highlight the fear of the Lord and why we should fear him, why we should abstain from sinning because of the fear of the Lord, why the fear of the Lord should drive us to be obedient. And again, not as a taskmaster or as a slave master, but again, we should fear him. He knows all things. And again, he's going to judge us at the end of the day. So we should be more afraid of that or fear him with a reverence or respect opposed to doing things in secret or thinking we're getting away with anything because we're not. So I'm going to go to Job 38. This is not the scripture I wanted to open up with this series with, but this is, I believe, what the Lord is pressing upon me to open it with. And this one like shook me to the core, and it just like opened my eyes, just how great the Lord is. And after I read this scripture, I'm gonna kind of break it down a little bit. And then I'm going to tell you guys my experience with the fear of the Lord at the age of, I believe, 20, 21 years old. I believe it was 20 years old. And that's when the Lord began to speak to me after the fear of the Lord came upon my life. Once I realized the magnitude of who God was, that's when he began to like speak to me slowly but surely and pull me in. So this is Job 38. I am going to read from New Living Translation, just because this is the version that I read when my eyes were like open to the Lord and his presence and his greatness and his magnitude and magnificence. It was reading this translation. So Job 38, New Living Translation. And it says, Then the Lord answered Job from a whirlwind, Who is this that questioned my wisdom with such ignorant words? Brace yourself like a man, because I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you know so much. Who determined its dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? What supports its foundation, and who laid its cornerstone? As the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy, who kept the sea inside its boundaries as it burst from the womb, as I clothed it with clouds and wrapped it in thick darkness? For I locked it behind barred gates, limiting its shores. I said, This far and no further will you come. Here your proud ways will stop. Have you ever commanded the morning to appear and caused the dawn to rise in the east? Have you made daylight spread to the ends of the earth to bring an end to the night's wickedness? As the light approaches and the earth takes shape like clay pressed beneath seals, it is robed in brilliant colors. The light disturbs the wicked and stop the arm that is raised in violence. Have you explored the springs from which the sea comes? Have you explored their depths? Do you know where the gates of death are located? Have you seen the gates of utter gloom? Do you realize the extent of the earth? Tell me about it if you know. Where does light come from? And where does darkness go? Can you take each to its home? Do you know how to get there? But of course you know all this, for you were born before it was all created. and you are so very experienced. Have you visited the storehouse of the snow or seen the storehouse of hail? I have reserved them as a weapon for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war. Where is the path to the source of light? Where is the home of the east wind? Who created a channel for the tyrants of rain? Who laid out the path for the lightning? Who makes the rain fall on barren land, in a desert where no one lives? Who sends rain to satisfy the parched ground and make the tender grass spring up? Does the rain have a father? Who gives birth to the dew? Who is the mother of ice? Who gives birth to the frost from heaven? For the water turns to ice, as hard as a rock, and the surface of the water freezes. Can you direct the movement of the stars? Bind the clusters of Pleiades or loose the cords of Orion? Can you direct the constellations through the seasons or guide the bear with her cubs across the heavens? Do you know the laws of the universe? Can you use them to regulate the earth? Can you shout to the clouds and make it rain? Can you cause lightning to appear and cause it to strike as you direct? Who gives intuition to the heart and instincts to the mind? Who is wise enough to count all the clouds? Who can till the water jars of heaven? When the parched ground is dry and the soil has hardened into clothes, can you stalk the prey of a lion and satisfy the young lion's appetite as they lie in the den or crouch in the thicket? Who provides food for the ravens when their young cry out to God and wander about in hunger? So that's Job 38. And to me, I mean, it's just deep. It is deep. It's talking about the laws of the universe. It's talking about the constellations in the sky. It is talking about bringing forth hail. It is talking about locking the sea up where it do not overflow on the earth. So this to me just like really blew my mind. Like, the Lord is to be praised. He's to be feared. He knows all these things that we do not know. Like he said, can you cause the lightning to strike at your command? Listen, it is the Lord that caused lightning to strike. Man cannot do that. So into this, like, it just like blew my mind. The fear of the Lord, like, this is who he is. There's some things I have highlighted in this Bible says, who gives intuition to the heart and instincts to the mind? Like, that is the Lord. That is the Lord. Another one, it says, do you realize the extent of the earth? Tell me about it if you know. We don't even have a clue. Like, scientists, they try to figure these things out, but we have no clue the extent of the earth. Like, this is the Lord. Like, he should be feared. Have you explored the springs from which the sea comes? Like, we don't even know. Like, I think it's scientifically proven that I think only 10% of like the ocean is discovered. This is the Lord. He knows all these things. And even if you go, like, if you continue on in Job all the way to the last chapter, or maybe like the chapter before the last, he talks about Leviathan. He talks about the things in the sea. He talks about Behemoth. Like, these are the things he made. So again, like, my mind is just always blown. Like, this is the Lord. No man can do this. No man can create these things. There's one more thing that really blew my mind. He said, can you command the morning to appear? Like, this is why we have daylight. It's the Lord, it's his laws, it's his ordinance that he put in place in the heavenly places, in the spiritual realm, that the sun rises in the morning and the moons come out at night and the stars are in the sky. It is all by the Lord. So again, my mind is always blown when I think about the capacity of the Lord, because we still will not understand the fullness of his capacity. We still cannot understand him. Again, he's from everlasting to everlasting. And even as you read Job 38, the Lord was being witty with Job, like, tell me if you know, brace yourself like a man. He's like, because you've been around for so long since they existed. So he was being witty with Job because, again, sometimes man had this pride, like we know everything, but we do not. So I'll share with you guys a quick testimony of my experience with the fear of the Lord. At the age of 20, I think I moved out of my mom's home when I was like 19. I think I was 19. And I had my first apartment. I was living in like an urban area, but it was a pretty safe urban area. And one night, and at this time I was like working, going to school, I would party, all kinds of stuff. So one night I was asleep in my bed and it was raining and the wind was blowing so treacherously. And I was asleep in my bed and I hear like this big noise, and the tree in the backyard had fallen. But in my mind just went to a place like that tree could have came right into my home while I was laying in bed and fell on me, like crashed through the home, fell on me while I was asleep. I was thinking like that, and then I just was like, it's amazing how the tree just fell like to the side. It didn't fall in the house. So that got me to thinking, and then after that, I began to think more. I said, a man cannot push down a tree. No man can push down a tree. The wind literally pushed down the tree. That is the Lord. A man needs a machine to take down a tree. So that gave me like the awesomeness of the Lord and the power and the majesty of the Lord, just that moment. And from there, the Lord he planted that seed of the fear of the Lord. And just so from that moment, the Lord just began to wreck me with the brilliance of who he was. Okay, so bye for now and see you in the next video.